Is Howie Roseman actually losing his touch, or are we witnessing an absolute masterclass in long-term roster building? The 2026 draft is finally on the horizon, and the latest expert projections are sending shockwaves through the Philadelphia fan base. We're looking at a first-round move that has everyone in the city debating, and honestly, some of you are going to be absolutely furious once you see the logic behind it. This isn't just about picking a player. It's about the future of the entire franchise. Before we break down exactly why this draft strategy could define the next decade of Eagles football, smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest, real-talk NFL updates on the planet. We need to talk about the man, the myth, the draft legend himself. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I've seen the comments online, and I've heard the slander. There's a lot of noise about his past takes, and let's be real, his relentless defense of certain college stars in the past year had us all rolling our eyes. It felt like he was beating a dead horse for months. But here is the cold, hard truth. The draft culture we live in today, the obsession with mock drafts, the countdowns, the hype, that is almost entirely because of him. He is a lock for the Pro Football Hall of Fame for a reason. Regardless of how you feel about his recent commentary, you have to respect the grind and the absolute decades of work he has put into this industry. He is still out there doing it at the highest level. So let's look at the board. With the 23rd overall pick in the first round, the experts have the Eagles selecting Clemson offensive tackle Blake Miller. I want to be clear about my reaction to this. This is the definition of a safe pick. Is he the most exciting, high-ceiling prospect in the draft? No. There are other guys like Max Ahasher who have that game-breaking, elite upside that makes you jump out of your seat. That is the kind of player I personally would love to see wearing midnight green. But we have to look at the reality of the situation. Lane Johnson is a legend, but we have to face the music. He is turning 36. You don't just replace a Hall of Fame caliber tackle overnight. You have to prepare for the inevitable. The rationale here is genius in its own way. The organization doesn't wait for future needs to explode into current disasters. That is the Howie Roseman way. He keeps the roster stocked, he keeps the depth charts layered, and he looks 3 years down the road. The question we have to ask ourselves is, do we trust this philosophy when we have holes on the roster right now? Is it smarter to draft for potential or to draft for insurance? Drop a comment below and let me know. Would you rather have a flashy, high-upside playmaker in round 1 or an insurance policy offensive tackle? I'm dying to see where the fan base lands on this. Back to Blake Miller. The fit is almost too perfect on paper. This guy has logged over 3,500 snaps at right tackle in his college career. That level of durability and consistency is extremely rare in modern college football. He is a senior. He has 54 starts under his belt. That is experience you cannot teach. When you watch his tape, you see a guy with a long, athletic frame. He's got that lateral quickness that makes you think he can handle NFL pass rushers on an island. However, let's be real about the flaws. Sometimes he plays way too upright. That is a dangerous habit that will get you eaten alive by professional defensive ends. His hand placement can be inconsistent, and his footwork has some holes that are going to require a serious coaching intervention to fix. But that is what coaching staffs are for, right? He has the physical tools. He has the size, 6'7", 317 pounds. He's got that light-footed quality that scouts drool over. If you don't need him to start day one, you could effectively redshirt him, let him learn under the veterans, and let him grow into the role. Looking at the analytical side, his numbers from last year were solid. A Pro Football Focus grade just under 77 and an 81. 6 in pass blocking, which is where you really need to see the value. He is a force in space as a run blocker, and we know this new offensive system loves those lighter, more mobile linemen who can get to the second level. This isn't a sexy pick. It isn't a highlight reel, but it is a smart, calculated investment in keeping the quarterback upright for years to come. But hold on, because the first round is just the warm-up act. Wait until you hear the direction the experts think the team is heading in the second round, because that is where things get truly controversial. Let's shift gears to the second round projection. I have been shouting from the rooftops about how critical the tight end position is in this league. It is a mismatch nightmare. But I have to be honest, when I saw the name attached to this pick, I was stunned. We're talking about Oscar Delp, the tight end out of Georgia. My initial reaction: this feels early. I mean, way too early. I truly believe he would have been sitting there in the third or even the fourth round. But here is the twist. Even if the timing feels off, the idea behind it is absolutely correct. Think about the situation. The contract situation for Dallas Goedert is reaching a boiling point. We are entering a critical window where we need a succession plan. We need a young, developing talent to step up and eventually take the mantle. And for all the talk about flashy receiving tight ends, you still need a guy who can get his hands dirty in the trenches. Delp can block. He's tough. I remember watching the combine interviews, and it was actually hilarious. Everyone kept labeling him as a blocking tight end, and he was visibly annoyed by it. He said, "Everybody looks at me as a blocker, but I see myself as a receiver." That is the kind of chip on the shoulder you want to see. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, the Georgia offensive scheme. If you watched closely this past year, you saw how limited that offense was. Great receivers were being neutered because they weren't being asked to run a full route tree. Everything was simplified. It was an offense designed for the quarterback to make easy reads, not to develop complex passing concepts. It is an offense that can get you drafted, but it doesn't always prepare you for the nuance of the NFL. Because of that, I actually think Delp has a massive, untapped ceiling. I don't think we saw 10% of what he could actually do as a pass catcher in college. Is he the next Brock Bowers? No, nobody is. Bowers was a generational talent, the best player in the country for a reason. But Delp wasn't used like Bowers, so it is unfair to compare their production. When you look at the stats, they aren't going to blow you away. We are talking about 20 catches for 261 yards and a touchdown this past season. Those numbers look pedestrian, but look closer at the efficiency. Throughout his entire college career, he had, get this, only 3 drops. That is not a typo. 3 drops in his whole career. That is the kind of consistency that coaches dream of. He has the catch radius, he has the steady hands, and he has the body control to make plays down the seam. The Eagles clearly have a massive affinity for that Georgia pipeline. They trust the coaching there, they trust the culture, and they trust the players that come out of that system. With Delp, you aren't drafting the finished product. You are drafting the traits. You're drafting the frame, the athleticism, and the want to. There was some noise about a minor foot issue during the pre-draft process, but the word is that it isn't anything long-term or serious. It's just one of those things that pops up to create doubt. So let's connect the dots. You have an offensive tackle in the first round who provides immediate depth and future stability. Then you have a tight end in the second round who is a project, yes, but a project with safe hands and a high floor as a blocker, with the potential to turn into a receiving weapon once he is coached up. It is a draft that focuses on safe and durable over risky and explosive. Now, I want to hear from you. This is the moment to prove you know your stuff. If you were sitting in that draft room with the power to make the call, who is your dream target? Who is the one player you are praying falls to us, even if the experts say it is impossible? I am genuinely fascinated to see the variety of answers. Drop a name in the comments right now. Are you team draft the trenches, or are you team draft the playmakers? We have covered a lot today. We looked at the offensive line, we dissected the tight end situation, and we debated the philosophy of drafting for the future. The NFL draft is arguably the most stressful, exciting, and unpredictable time of the year for any true fan. It is the time where every team is undefeated, every prospect is a potential Hall of Famer, and every front office decision is analyzed under a microscope. Whether you agree with these mock draft projections or think they are a total disaster, one thing is for sure. The team is prioritizing longevity. They are looking at the aging veterans, they are looking at the contract books, and they are preparing for the reality.
It really dictates the defense.
Keep your eyes peeled, because draft season is heating up, and we're going to be right here breaking down every single move, every trade, and every shocker that happens once the clock starts ticking on Thursday. Thanks for hanging out, for being the real ones who watch until the end, and for being the best community in the game. We'll catch you in the next one.